From its Civil War origins to its modern-day traditions, here are 8 things you might not know about Memorial Day. First, Memorial Day and its traditions may have some ancient roots. While the first commemorative Memorial Day events weren't held in the United States until the late 19th century, the practice of honoring those who have fallen in battle dates back thousands of years. The ancient Greeks and Romans held annual days of remembrance for loved ones, including soldiers, each year, festooning their graves with flowers and holding public festivals and feasts in their honor. In Athens, public funerals for fallen soldiers were held after each battle, with the remains of the dead on display for public mourning before a funeral procession took them to their interment in the Kerameikos, one of the city's most prestigious cemeteries. One of the first known public tributes to war dead was in 431 BC, when the Athenian general and statesman Perseus delivered a funeral oration praising the sacrifice and valor of those killed in the Peloponnesian War, a speech that some have compared in tone to Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Number 2. One of the earliest commemorations was organized by recently freed African Americans. As the Civil War neared its end, thousands of Union soldiers held as prisoners of war were herded into a series of hastily assembled camps in Charleston, South Carolina. Conditions at one camp, a former racetrack near the city's citadel, were so bad that more than 250 prisoners died from disease or exposure and were buried in a mass grave behind the track's grandstand. 3 weeks after the Confederates surrendered, an unusual procession entered the former camp. On May 1, 1865, more than 1,000 people recently freed from enslavement, accompanied by regiments of the U.S. colored troops, including the Massachusetts 54th Infantry and a handful of white Charlestonians, gathered in a camp to consecrate a new, proper burial site for the Union dead. The group sang hymns, gave readings, and distributed flowers around the cemetery, which they dedicated to the martyrs of the race course. Number 3. The holiday's founder had a long and distinguished career. In May 1868, General John A. Logan, the commander-in-chief of the Union Veterans Group known as the Grand Army of the Republic, issued a decree that May 30th should become a nationwide day of commemoration for more than 620,000 soldiers killed in the recently ended Civil War. On Decoration Day, as Logan dubbed it, Americans should lay flowers and decorate the graves of the war dead, whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet, churchyard in the land. According to legend, Logan chose May 30th because it was a rare day that didn't fall on the anniversary of a Civil War battle, though some historians believe the date was selected to ensure that flowers across the country would be in full bloom. After the war, Logan, who had served as a U.S. congressman before resigning to rejoin the Army, returned to his political career, eventually serving in both the House and Senate, and was the unsuccessful candidate for the Republicans for vice president in 1884. When he died 2 years later, Logan's body laid in state in the rotunda of the United States Capitol, making him one of just 33 people to have received the honor. Today, Washington, D.C.'s Logan Circle, and several townships across the country are named in honor of this champion of veterans and those killed in battle. Number 4. Logan probably adapted the idea from earlier events in the South. Even before the war ended, women's groups across much of the South were gathering informally to decorate the graves of Confederate dead. In April 1886, the Ladies' Memorial Association of Columbus, Georgia, resolved to commemorate the fallen once a year, a decision that seemed to have influenced John Logan to follow suit, according to his own wife. However, Southern commemorations were rarely held on one standard day, with observations differing by state and spread out across much of the spring and early summer. It's a tradition that continues today. 9 southern states officially recognize the Confederate Memorial Day, with events held on Confederate President Jefferson Davis's birthday, the day on which General Thomas Stonewall Jackson was killed, or to commemorate other symbolic events. Number 5. It didn't become a federal holiday until 1971. Americans embraced the notion of Decoration Day immediately. That first year, more than 27 states held some sort of ceremony, with more than 5,000 people in attendance at a ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. By 1890, every former state of the Union had adopted it as an official holiday. But for more than 50 years, the holiday was used to commemorate those killed just in the Civil War, not in any other American conflict. It wasn't until America's entry into World War I that the tradition was expanded to include those killed in all wars, And Memorial Day was not officially recognized nationwide until the 1970s, with America deeply embroiled in the Vietnam War. Number 6. It was a long road from Decoration Day to an official Memorial Day. Although the term Memorial Day was used beginning in the 1880s, the holiday was officially known as Decoration Day for more than a century when it was changed by federal law. 4 years later, the Uniform Monday Holiday Act of 1968 finally went into effect, moving Memorial Day from its traditional observance on May 30th, regardless of the day of the week, to a set day, the last Monday of May. The move has not been seen without controversy, though. Veterans groups concerned that more Americans associate the holiday with first long weekend of the summer and not its intended purpose to honor the nation's war dead. They continue to lobby for a return to the May 30th observances. For more than 20 years, their cause was championed by a Hawaiian senator and decorated World War II veteran Daniel Inouye, who until his 2012 death reintroduced legislation in support of the change at the start of every congressional term. Number 7. More than 20 towns claim to be the holiday's birthplace, but only one has federal recognition. For almost as long as there's been a holiday, there's been a rivalry about who celebrated it first. Bowlesburg, Pennsylvania, based its claim on an 1864 gathering of women to mourn their recently killed at Gettysburg. In Carbondale, Illinois, they're certain that they were first, thanks to an 1866 parade held, in part, by John Logan, who 2 years later would lead the charge for an official holiday. There are even two dueling Columbus challengers, one in Mississippi, the other in Georgia, who have battled it out for Memorial Day supremacy for decades. Only one town, however, has received the official seal of approval from the U.S. government. In 1966, 100 years after the town of Waterloo, New York shuttered its businesses and took to streets for the first of many continuous community-wide celebrations. President Lyndon Johnson signed legislation, recently passed by the U.S. Congress, declaring the tiny upstate village the official birthplace of Memorial Day. Number 8. Wearing a red poppy on Memorial Day began with a World War I poem. In the spring of 1915, bright red flowers began poking through the battle-ravaged land across northern France and Flanders, northern Belgium. Canadian Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who served as a brigade surgeon for an Allied artillery unit, spotted a cluster of the poppies shortly after serving as a brigade surgeon during the bloody Second Battle of Ypres. The sight of the bright red flowers against the dreary backdrop of war inspired McCrae to pen the poem In Flanders Field, in which he gives voice to the soldiers who had been killed in battle and lay buried beneath the poppy-covered grounds. Later that year, a Georgia teacher and volunteer war worker named Moina Michael read the poem in Ladies' Home Journal and wrote her own poem, We Shall Keep the Faith, to begin a campaign to make the poppy a symbol of tribute to all who died in war. The poppy remains a symbol of remembrance to this day. Memorial Day is a federal holiday. All non-essential government offices are closed, as are schools, businesses, and other organizations.